anything.
Which was exciting, and it's exciting to see some new faces in the crowd, and we'll talk with you all in a little bit. I first off would like to introduce Heidi Meyer-Hoffer. Meyer-Hoffer. Heidi is the district representative for Senator Alvarado Gill. If you'd like to share with us her message, that would be great.
Yeah, hi, I'm the district representative for State Senator Marie Alvarado Gill, and she is the senator of District 4, which goes from Kentucky all the way down to Death Valley. It's a huge district with a very rural district. She is herself from Jackson, and she's very aware of the different needs and challenges of rural communities. She has tasked me with visiting all 31 of the fire safe councils.
Oh, lucky you, right?
To just all of the work that's being done in the district, especially Eldorado County, because that's where I'm focusing. But all the work that's being done to mitigate fire risk, and then I love hearing the stories of the you call it the ancillary benefits of building community. So the stories that we're getting from the work that's being done is the amazing sense of community that's coming out of the work, but also the real headway that's being made on building fire resiliency. So her message to you is thank you for taking up this challenge, for doing the work. It'll have an effect, just not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Keenly aware of the challenges that the insurance industry is putting on everybody. She serves on the insurance committee in Sacramento. She's been very vocal with the insurance commissioner, having expressed a need for change now. And we were happy to see that his first report came out this week about some of the plans and things that they're implementing. And it's going to take time. It should have been happening long before this, but just know that work is being done, and the goal is to build in some
Accessibility.
She knows when is and where that's at.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Heidi, as we move forward on some of our initiatives going forward, but thank you very much for coming this evening, and please let the senator know we appreciate her efforts on behalf of our community. So on our agenda, running through our agenda now, we have up the approval of this evening's council meeting agenda. All of you should have received it by email or I had a couple of copies in the back of the room. Any adjustments to this evening's agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
Thank you. Approval of the January 24 council meeting minutes. Thank you, Kim, for all of your effort back and forth with me on those this weekend. Thank you. Anybody have any comments on the agenda? Excuse me, on the council meeting minutes for January? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Thank you. The January 24 council meeting minutes are approved. The January 31st, 24 treasurer's report is out. Thank you, Sandy, for all your efforts on that. Anybody have any questions on the treasurer's report for January? Hearing none. Sandy, anything you want to report out?
No, the reimbursement for the grant money has gone in, and that should be coming into our bank account very shortly. That'll help increase us just over $1,000.
And it's in my purse. I will have it in the bank tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Approval of the January 24 treasurer's report. All in favor? Opposed? January 24 treasurer's report is approved. Item 5, chair and vice chair reports. Mike is online. Any comments, Mike, as the vice chair?
No, I think I'll save some of my comments for the South County thing. I did an evaluation this month for one of my insurance clients, and I reported that to the El Dorado Fire Safety Council people, but no,
Thank
pretty
you.
pretty steady state.
Thank you, and hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, a little bandage, but I'll be fine.
Okay, well, glad to see you're on tonight. Thank you. On behalf of the chair, there's a lot going on throughout the county. As you are all aware, the county's defensible space ordinance is going through its process. There is a community meeting, I think Thursday night.
Thursday night, 6 o'clock.
Sent the notice out to all of you for that. It is a Zoom meeting as well as in person. Please avail yourself of that if you are so inclined to. That is the next to the last public outreach meeting that will be held before it goes back before the board. Trying to think of anything else that
6 o'clock. Yeah, at the Cameron Park Community Center.
if I think of anything else. I reserve the time to go. Informational items. Marky.
Nothing really new from my side. I'm gonna wait probably another month or two until we get closer to warmer weather and see if I have OES come out again and do a presentation for it all. So
That'd be wonderful.
as soon as we get past the winter stuff.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that. El Dorado County Fire Safety Council Chair, Ken Timlin.
All right, I could turn the camera on myself, I guess. No. Yeah, gotta make this work. Well, good evening. So yeah, it was a packed meeting, both in terms of attendance and the agenda. We went from 9:30 to just after noon. Lots of updates. We had a presentation from the Transportation Commission, Dan Bolster. They've been working for the last, I think about 1.5 to 2 years with a grant they received from Caltrans to do an evacuation study in the greater Placerville area. And so they've been looking at, basically ran 4 fire scenarios, both north and south of Highway 50, and sort of ran those sort of on the worst fire days, if you will. And then basically used traffic models to see how that would impact transportation flows. And it's pretty fascinating as to how that works. And these were just 4 samples. They could have run lots of different scenarios, but for them, what it's done, and they're bringing this forward now and ultimately to the Transportation Commission for final approval, but the sheriff's office has been engaged, OES, the fire districts, CAL FIRE, the county, just looking at what this has been showing. And basically it's going to identify where choke points are. So when there is a mass evacuation, they're able to look at where some of the choke points are at intersections. Does that require more traffic control? Are there structural improvements that are needed that can be done ahead of that in terms of improving intersections, changing traffic signaling, all of that? And so they're going around, I think they're tonight, as we speak, they're having another presentation with several of the fire safe councils tonight, Diamond Springs and Oak Hill and Placerville. So again,
Oak
they'll be
Hill and
bringing this
Diamond
forward.
Springs. Oak Hill and
Yes.
Diamond Springs.
Yes, pretty sure that's what I said, but yes, they're bringing that forward tonight. And I mean, they're going on the road, kind of discussing that. And then they'll be coming back to the Transportation Commission at the beginning of April for the Transportation Commission to approve it. So basically it's a proof of concept that's really going to be used, I think, in other areas of the county. It's being embedded in all of the other planning efforts that are going on. from the safety element to the local hazard mitigation plan. So it's kind of a big deal. But anyway, we had a good presentation on that this morning. The sheriff's OES was there, Lieutenant Wharton, to give us an update on perimeter. And this will be something definitely, if Chris can swing, getting them to come out and talk to all of us about the new perimeter software that the sheriff's department has purchased. Rave and all of that is absolutely still happening. And this is just a new way of informing, one, identifying evacuations in real time at the incident. So the incident commanders will be electronically drawing streets as they're looking at it, as it's evolving. That information is electronically then given into the sheriff's office or the emergency operations center if it's open. That information is validated and then immediately gets pushed out to anybody that has the perimeter app on their phone. And basically, just like your Google Maps, you've got your blue dot that says where you are. The actual perimeter of the evacuation zone then will be available right there for you on your phone. And it's real time. This will happen fairly quickly. And then, of course, all of that information will then be used with Rave to push out the evacuation notices via Rave. Doesn't change anything else. Of course, all of the door-to-door work, all that stuff's all happening. But this is just another way to real time get much more accurate information out to all of us about what the actual evacuation warning areas and mandatory evacuation areas are. So Janet's got the handouts. I will be, because I really hadn't sat down all day. I have this electronically, and I'll be getting that out to everybody in the Fire Safe Council network tomorrow. It was approved that literally they've been going to every board of supervisor to get all of this validated, which just happened yesterday. So this is late breaking. This document will be in when we update that colorful workbook that we have for the Fire Safe Councils. That will be an insert when we get that updated this spring. So huge step forward. Yeah.
I will, as soon as Ken sends out.
Yeah, so that'll be coming out. They'll be making lots of copies of that to get out. CAL FIRE talked about they're in the process of reviewing. There were 16 grant applications for the fire prevention grants for the 4 counties that are covered by the Amador El Dorado unit of CAL FIRE, and 7 forest health grant applications. I don't know how many were from El Dorado County, although a good portion of those were from there. So they're reviewing those now and will make their recommendations back to the Sacramento program for final approval. So hopefully in the coming months, we'll be hearing more as to which grant applications. And I can tell you from just the ones I'm aware of from the Fire Safe Council network, the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council applied 3 separate grants for one for each of the assistance programs. So chipping, hazard tree, and defensible space, each of them for $1 million. So we'll see where those go, but really trying to infuse some money there. And then the Camino Fire Safe Council, in partnership with the Resource Conservation District, applied for a significant forest health grant to plug into the already existing Fire Adapted 50 project, going along from the Camino area all the way through to tie into what the RCD and CAL FIRE knows have already been doing for the last several years. So the RCD is sponsoring that one. So we'll see where that goes. But again, some pretty significant projects that we've collectively folks have applied for here in the county. The board of directors of the Fire Safe Council approved a letter of support to the Board of Supervisors today in support of the updates that are currently under review and being presented to the board on the defensible space ordinance in the county. So folks, as we've talked about before, the county is just updating the existing ordinance to clean up a few items within that, and the council felt strongly about providing a letter of support. There's been a lot of discussion on it and some of the amendments that are going forward, but at the end of the day, the council felt pretty strongly that the real principles within the defensible space ordinance and the state's public resources code are really the foundation of the things that we support in our programs as fire safe councils. So it was important to show support for that. So we did that. And then we,
Unanimous support.
yeah.
Only for specific language.
Yeah, or conflicts.
20 people or so, it was unanimous.
Yeah, I think there were 16. Oh, and then we added a because of the growth in the programs and the number of grants and the amount of funding and just the workload involved in the administrative business of the Fire Safe Council, the council approved adding a part-time bookkeeping service to the sort of suite. And again, the Fire Safe Council is not employing anybody. We either go to a temp help agency or we have consulting agreements with individuals. In this case, it'll be a consulting agreement with a local bookkeeper to work part-time to try to alleviate some of the pressure on the treasurer and a few other folks because of just the volume. I think she wrote, I think we signed 30 or 40 checks just this morning to pay vendors. And it's primarily for the contractors for the assistance programs. So chipping, defensible space, and hazard tree. So, and reimbursements to any of us that are, doing business on behalf of the council. So we could go on. There's just a lot, but those were probably the highlights of the meeting. Just a lot of good dialogue. Just a lot happening.
Any questions for Kim? All right, Omaha Ranch, Shyla.
Omaha Ranch is still working on their water. They're in partnership with the fire department and like every project, there's always extra work and things to iron out and things to get right. And so that's where we are right now. And so it's kind of an uphill, but it's going to be very successful. So we're very proud of that. And that will affect not just Omaha Ranch, but any area that in this area where they need water. This is our second project, and so we're creating more water for everyone. With that said, I just want to acknowledge the fact that the councils partnered together and created the $2 million grant, and Omaha Ranch will benefit from that, as will Outingdale, as will Fairplay, as will the other fire safe councils. But I do know that there is a from the last meeting, there was an announcement that Omaha Ranch did not get enough signatures, right of entry signatures, and so they are going to a plan B. We are, I just want to I want to thank you for the partnership, but we do want to let you know that we will be trying to get Plan A back on track so that the people that truly it would benefit the community to have that roadside clearance complete. We hope, and I'm not on the board, so I can't speak for the board, but I know that our meeting is Saturday, and I'm going to suggest strongly, or anyone else can suggest strongly, that we knock on the doors to find out if the right of entry, if they're willing to sign that right of entry, because it would benefit us as a neighborhood to have that roadside clearance cleared on. So with that, I'm not trying to go 4 steps backwards, but I am trying to be clear because I appreciate the fact that in this council and all the fire safe councils that I go to, that you respect protocol. And you put things out in a way that we all are aware. And we're not trying to do a slippery plan B. So in that, I acknowledge that.
Thank you. We'll have Mike update the grant later in the agenda, but yes, thank you for that. No one from Grizzly Flat, Sandridge?
Not too much to share other than we do have our street sign project that it's really picking off. We're almost ready to break ground on some of our signs that we have in our hands. We just need to buy the concrete. Collecting our funds to submit.
Thank you for that. All right, Kim, did you connect up with Pioneer Fire?
I did not make that meeting. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no worries. All right, moving on to unfinished business. South County grant update, Mike?
Okay, we had our, we had our update meeting today with the, RCDP. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it was kind of an echo, I'm sorry. The RP was supposed to go out about a week and a half ago. It got delayed because they're having difficulty creating some language from something that had happened with Coloma Lotus recently, where it was creating some confusion in the bidding process for the RP between the contractors. It has something to do with, you know, additional acreage and bid by the acre and things of that nature. So the RCD is being very careful not to repeat that error, which has cost us at least another 2 or 3 weeks by adding some language to the RP. I did confirm that because of the size and scope of some of these projects, that individual contractors can actually team up and bid on the process. I'm thinking of some of our local teams that we've used in the green waste in some of their efforts to be part of this process. There's still kind of some back and forth on the ROEs. I've asked the team for, apparently some of the data wasn't actually accurate, so ROEs were sent to various, you know, landowners, and we either never received or never returned. And they're tracking it. I said, well, please give me the list for the outcome fair play, and I will personally go and, you know, approach everyone. You know, I don't know what the list is. It's got to be below 20, and just kind of get involved and see if we can get them over the line. There was an insurance client I did get to influence her neighbor, who has about a 5-acre property that is thicker than any off Perry Creek, thicker than any property I've ever seen in terms of fuel load, to be added to the grant. So that's a good thing. It's going to create a little bit more support for the local Perry Creek Fair Play area. So long story short, it looks like the RP, though delayed, will go out in the next week or so. Once that goes out, they will redo or reschedule they're calling it a field trip. It's essentially to take the contractors that are interested in bidding on the grant to go out to the various places that are already already flagged and denoted with things where the work needs to happen, so they can get an idea of what's in front of them. I asked a simple question, which is, you know, this was supposed to happen last October, November. We're now in the middle of February. Should we be worried? And one of the RCD people said, yes, we're worried. You know, we need to get this done. And I said, yeah, well, exactly, because we're gonna, in a couple of months, we're gonna run out of quote unquote wet days, and they can't work on really hot and dry days. So they're feeling the pressure. They've got to move. I think Sandridge, Elizabeth Scander, I screwed her name up. Standevin, you know, from Sandridge is, what was it? I'm sorry.
Standevin.
Standevin. Yeah, thank you. I always struggle with that last name. Elizabeth raised her hand. I raised my hand. So did Lester. We're going to try to essentially knock down, in parallel with the RP being done and doing the field trip, we're trying to get as many of the ROEs in so that the contractors that are going to be bidding know exactly what they're bidding on and how much acreage and whether they have to move their equipment around, which all comes into the cost that they're going to be projecting for the South County grant. So with Lotus, they don't want to repeat that issue, and they're being very cautious. But we're also, as fire safety council members, we're pushing them. It's like, you know, it's been delay after delay after delay after delay. Kind of get yours, I'll put it in quotes, stuff together and get this done. So that's how we ended today.
Thank you for that, Mike. Keep us posted on that. Any questions for Mike?
It is
Hearing
moving
none?
forward, albeit slowly.
Keep pushing that wet noodle.
I do have one.
Yes, ma'am.
At one point, you had mentioned that Oma Ranch was going to start their, the clearing. Is that still on the table, or are we looking at a change of date? And maybe I misheard.
Can you hear that, Mike? Is
Just
Oma
repeat,
Ranch starting with their clearing, or is that date changing?
the project is not complete, has not started from RCD, so if Ono Ranch is doing something, they're doing it on their own.
So that sounds
The
like the
project
grant has
is-
not started any clearing.
Yeah, no, the grant is not started because the RFP is not out and the bids are not completed. They're trying to create a table so it's easier for the people bidding on the project, the contractors bidding, to know exactly what they're bidding on. So if there is work happening in the Omo Ranch area, that's above and beyond what's going on with the grant at this time.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, John.
Yeah, Mike, do you need help with the rights of entries?
Actually, Colleen from the RCD offered her help. If the spreadsheet that I am to receive is onerous, I will reach out. But right now, Colleen from RCD graciously added her name to help me in the outcome fair play area. And she's also gonna help, Elizabeth Scandevin. So right now, John, I think we're okay, but if it becomes more onerous, I'll reach out.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks, Mike. Moving on to the wine signage project, Shyla?
There's, probably going to go, and there's not. So, basically, we will find out when we get the boxes. I know there's quite a few boxes coming in tonight. And once it's in, we will then have a meeting. From that meeting, we will then be able to report. I'm gonna let you know right now that the boxes are fairly empty, but if you we specifically timed it for a slow time so that we could truly make this a pilot. So I'm happy with the fact that four councils can work together and support each other. So.
Perfect. Thank you. Keep us posted.
You bet.
Janet, does
Yes, ma'am.
everyone here knows what she's talking about? I don't know.
So Shyla, do you want to describe the wine signage project for the folks who are new in the room?
So after the Calvert fire. We've kind of got together and decided, right now Grizzly has enough on their plate to be able just to survive. They don't need to be fundraising, they don't need to be doing outreach, they're trying to heal. All the other councils kind of went into atrophy, that's what I saw, was that people were suddenly, between that and COVID, they were not coming to these meetings as much. And so outreach meant what? So when we realized that it would be to our benefit to work as a unit so that when we have events, we don't need four separate tables competing with each other. We need a common, the message is universal. So let's have one table. We don't need 15 people from each council. We need a solid group that can present. So we're not selecting people volunteer, but we don't have to tax each of the fire safety councils. So we don't, we're not gonna dry you out.
Or often.
So with that, the wine signage was, how do we include our businesses? How do we promote the fire safety council? What we discovered was most of the wineries had no idea that there were four councils in this area. Most of them were sitting there going, oh, well, when do you leave? They were basically clueless. And when we're picking up the boxes, we're asking, we know it's a pilot, And it's again, not the money right now. So we're done at the peak season. We don't wanna advertise that we're now. We wanna get it down. You wanna get it.
Why we love you.
I'm saying, you know, how's Mount Offord, how we this from Mount Offord, you need this from Omo. We want that kind of dialogue going, and that kind of partnership. And it's not about, shame, it is just called, let's just unite, let's just go forward. So, and I'm just like, gonna use it as an example, Mary came over to me just a minute ago and said, Shiloh, I hope you weren't offended by the fact that I advertised for Mount Offord work. And I went, what do you, I'm sure I'm not. Well, you need to handle your Mount Offord business, but when you're out at the fishing pond, the Diagostini fishing pond, advertising to the public, we can be a unit. But no, we all tie our own shoes, you know, it's that clear, but we do it in a very respectful way. So it's not about the quarters we collect, it is about the camaraderie and the fact that we can get something done. And the fact that, and I'm not gonna toot the horn, but I think you guys are gonna be getting a Westlow grant, is that correct? Or are you choosing not to?
We're going to discuss that this evening.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna zip. And
Thank you. Thank
but
you.
I do. Is the quarters we collected, you might have gotten something a little bit big.
So moving on to the council work plan, this item is on our agenda each time we have a Firewise work plan that we work from each year. This year, our Firewise work plan included these meetings, the potential for a cleanup work day, which John may have an item for that to discuss with us. Under new business, we also continue our plan to have a additional green waste day with the funds that we have through our Title III funds from the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. We plan on having that late May, early June. I think we picked a date for that last month, but I don't remember what that was off the top. But we will be reaching out for assistance from folks to come help us with these events. So watch for requests for help coming out for our community to come assist in some of these events with us. So June 1st is the date of our Green Waste Day. Last item under June 1st is the Green Waste Day.
And it'll be at post office Rooster parking lot.
Last item is an update from the election committee. Nicole, I don't see here tonight, but John, maybe we can talk about your outreach efforts.
So Nicole Hargo and I are the election committee this year. We have, of course, 4 positions: the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer to fill. And thank you to Kim and Mike for being willing to carry on in positions as secretary and vice chair. Much appreciate that. So we do not have candidates at this time for the chair or for the treasurer position. But as we talked about at the last meeting, the key to that is we thought making sure we get more council members. That's a big deal. And so along those lines, there's been some activity. We've sent out some emails to the entire new distribution list. That may be the result of a few people here attending. Appreciate that. And a winery list that a message was also sent out. And then Mary, thank you for doing the social media posts. I saw that. And so hopefully we can connect with some more people that can join us on this council and can fill these remaining 2 positions we're looking for. That's pretty much where we're at.
Elections are held what month?
June. That's the final.
And so the elections are before, are announced in our June.
So May is when we want to have a list.
So they're actually.
May is the month of the election. They're reported out at the June meeting, and the new officers take position in July. Yes, ma'am.
So that means if we volunteer, we have to go out and campaign, we have to put. Have a coffee. There you go.
First qualification is your breathing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we may talk about this at the meeting too, but per the bylaws, the process for becoming a council member is fairly informal. They are not elected. The board members that I just mentioned, those four positions are elected. But for council members, that's a simpler process. It's basically showing up at one meeting, introducing yourself or someone introducing you and saying a little bit about who you are and what you do. And the next council meeting after that, and the council can vote, informally on, we want that person to be part of the council. And bang, that's it.
We've never turned anybody down.
And nobody would want to.
But getting through the DOJ background process takes a while. Fingerprinting.
We can have anybody join us.
We always appreciate expertise, in the fire or related subjects, but it's not necessary. Maybe we're looking for people that can work with others and have an interest in the community and serving the community. That's pretty much it. There's all kinds of activities to do. You can be as busy or as not busy as you choose.
Except for
Volunteers.
one meeting a night, one meeting a month.
Yeah.
One meeting a night. She's not selling it very well.
It's activities, and John has been pretty diligent in a couple of locations in Mary as well on getting information out and asking for help. And I want to thank both of you for all of that effort to get folks to join our community. So thank you.
I do have a question.
Mary,
I put an ad in the
Gold Pan.
Gold Panda. Did anybody see it?
I looked for it. I didn't see it, but I don't know if I was like a week off, but I didn't see it.
No, it was for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I did not see it.
Yeah.
I looked.
Okay. Isn't it? Yeah, I did find it, but it was really hard to see, so I don't think that was with it personally. I mean, you need I think if you're gonna do it, you have to have a big ad. I didn't know, but. Okay.
Moving on to new business, item A, proposed new council member. As we all know, Mike Cook, who is a council member who took over or was managing our defensible space evaluation program. For those of you who don't know, we have trained defensible space evaluators they'll come to your house and perform defensible space evaluations and let you know where you might be deficient or where you're doing good. All good stuff that the council offers to the community. For personal reasons, he had to step down, so we have a vacancy on the board, one of several, or on the council, one of several, and to this program. And so tonight I wanted to bring to the council that I have had somebody who has expressed interest in taking the defensible space program. And when I pushed him really hard, he said that he will join the council, and he's been coming to our meetings a lot. Tom Turner has offered to step up and take on that role. So with he said that, All in favor of adding, since Tom has been to several meetings, we know Tom very well. All in favor of adding Tom to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Bye.
Congratulations, Tom. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we can go on.
Yeah. No Zoom meeting?
Take this on to work with you. However we need to make it work for you, so. So, thank you. So next time, John, if you would make me a new
Yes.
sign. So the time going to be this table. Thank you very much. Item B, is the West Slope grant discussion. The board met this month and, based on information that we received from Shiloh, we understand that West Slope is willing to consider an application from, Occam Fairplay for something to better our community, for which a grant is available up to $5,000. There's a variety of things that have been done. Alma Ranch did their water tank. Grizzly, I think, purchased some signs, replaced some signage out of it. Sand Ridge is doing some street signs, and they also purchased rolls of
Mesh for the vents.
the venting material to replace the mesh in the vents to make them fire resistant, which I thought was a super cool idea. If we want to combine item B on the agenda with item C, John had come to the board with a proposal to put up a large permanent sign at the Avondale entrance is where you were thinking. So would you like to share
Oh,
that
okay.
proposal?
And this, just for the council to consider, what I had suggested was, just in my experience, this is, council's heard me say this so much, signs work. And, putting a large sign at, on E16, as you're traveling south, right at the turn for Avondale, have another sign at the other end on E16, right after the crossing the bridge at River Pine. Those are the boundaries of our council area. And what I had in mind was possibly fairly large signs. This, that could be replaceable. With a banner or something that, depending on the time of year, we might want to pass along certain information. We might want to have a banner saying you've got a meeting in 3 days, or whatever the council chooses to do. But these could be permanent signs that would enable us to communicate, especially for people that maybe aren't on social media, maybe aren't on distribution. So that was the thought. 2 signs.
So the board was supportive of considering that and presenting that to the council. Initially, John had talked about donating his time and materials to that, but I think we have an opportunity here to do a proposal through West Slope. I don't want to apply for West Slope grant without having a purpose. I don't want to just apply for money to just have money. I want to have a purpose. And so Mary has a question.
West Slope is the West Slope Foundation.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I guess for the board to consider, any other ideas that you may have with regard to things that we can do if we were to get a West Slope grant. Mary,
I got told.
hold on, Mary, go ahead.
That's okay. I really like the idea of the mesh, of providing that for people, because that's one way to talk about home hardening. And it's another way, it's another thing, if you give somebody something right there, that they're.
Just add on there.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
a bunch of, a big roll of this, so that people didn't have to go out and purchase a roll to sell it. We've discussed it though, and we decided that we're not gonna just give it away, we're gonna sell it, but at a significant reduction.
That's good.
Because we don't want people to just hoard and say, oh, I can get this for free, and just leave it in the garage. We want them to actually pretend to.
Use it for something else, yeah.
Right,
Like, you don't really wanna give away. Sell to community.
right.
No. So just a thought.
And
Yeah.
when you share, it's available to anybody in the community and it really comes up as part of your defensible space evaluation.
Mostly that, I mean, anybody could ask that, you know, they don't have to have a defensible space valuation, but generally that's when it comes up, because we can
Mhm.
say, oh, look at your vents, they need to be upgraded.
And we
By
have,
the way, we have this lovely little thing that we can help you save a lot of money on.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
so we still have a bunch.
I like that.
And I need to tell her how much I want to.
Homer Ranch. Well, Paul Schaefer is the first responder. Along with other people like Homer Ranch and other places. But he gets, fire hydrants wholesale. And so people that have tanks have the ability to have a, what is it? Fire hydrant.
Hydrant wrench.
And kudos to you. You give away something free and it's considered disposable. You request people to make a payment on it, they value it a different way. Don't ask me why, but they do. For Omo Ranch, what Paul has done is he gets them at cost, he sells them at cost. Although he makes the statement, I sell them through the fire district. And I request a $50 donation to the fire district for, so I don't, he does not get anything. But he suggests, he puts the mindset of, but you know what, they don't have a lot of money. Would you consider making it, you're still getting a benefit. And that seems to do a lot. He sells them all over South County and the fire district gets a benefit. So that's.
okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I feel bad speaking up because this is my first meeting, but I can.
You should not feel that.
Nice to meet you, Judy.
Thank you. I consider myself to be fairly well informed, but Kim will attest to the fact that last fall, I didn't even know there was a Fair Play Mount Auckham Fire Safe Council, and I have been watching. I feel that as a board, I don't want to say your downfall, your shortfall. If you've got $5,000 to spend it on communicating. Spend it so that people know you're out there. Because everybody drives that road up and down. I'm not saying that's the perfect place, but you get a sign out there that says, we have screens, call this number. There's a green waste day. People aren't subscribing to newspapers. They're doing social media, but they're doing so in a very narrow window. They're not looking for something they don't know that's there. And although these other ideas, I think, are valuable and will help an individual homeowner, the knowledge that what you guys are doing benefits a homeowner, maybe helps them keep their fire insurance, maybe makes it easier to get out of the road, get to safety when there's a fire. So I really think spend it on communication, however you choose to spend it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that. And thank you for coming this evening.
Thanks.
All right.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
First off, I want to say that Chris will help you build that, and we always can use volunteers for anything and everything. And, can we leave the sign with this grant, can we leave it kind of open to where we're not saying we're gonna make this sign and signs and the, in case we need to make other signs?
I'm thinking that we can describe that we're going to do at a minimum of this and this. And
But leave it kind of open for us to do.
yeah, and I think it would also be helpful. I mean, I like the screen idea as well. I like the sign idea. I don't know how much the screen costs. I don't know how much the signs are gonna cost.
My husband's gonna build them, they won't cost right away.
So I'm curious.
Yes.
Know what we want to hear.
And Sandy, you have your hand up?
It's covered.
Muted.
You're muted, Sandy.
Got the chat's covered, Jen.
There you go.
But I keep about what happened with the Ron Tree fire and the importance the important fact that there was the big water tank right there close by that helped that fire did not progress further than it did. My feeling is that I think signs would be a wonderful thing, but I also think that as far as helping the community, if we could find a place for a big water storage tank somewhere towards the other end, the Mount Auckham end of the county, that would be an asset to the firefighters and protection for the populace down in this area. And I realize that would require finding a place in which that tank could be placed, but that may be a discussion to look at possibly doing. I'm trying to think of what would be the biggest asset to the most people if we applied for a grant.
There's 2 5,000 gallon tanks at Station 23, right at the junction of Omo Ranch and
So there's also 4 tanks at Somerset Landing.
yeah. So there are 2 5,000 gallon tanks behind the volunteer fire station, that junction.
So Sandy, there's two water tanks at the fire station. Sandy lives beyond, out on Bridge School Road, that south area down.
Oh, I see, yes.
It's right
See what she's
there of Alma Ranch and Highway 16. It's a half a block from the Mount Auckland store.
Okay. So Sandy, there is one at Omo Ranch and E16. 2.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
Mike, did you have your hand up or were you just relaxing your hand on your head?
No, I was actually stretching like this.
Shut up.
So I'm gonna relax.
No, I don't have a question.
I'm gonna request that you hear what I'm going to say, that I'm coming from good. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do with the money, because I'm not on your council. However, I'm just gonna state that the reason that the 4 councils came together with the wine signage was to be able to consolidate our message so that we could do outreach together, so we could do, and provide what we think we need for this South County in an efficient way. And I haven't counted all the quarters yet, but when we do, when we leave the pilot, assess what we've done, and then move forward, one of the goals for the wine signage was to be able to have provide materials so that when we do have an event we can have it, and we would have the supplies that we need. So I'm just gonna plan to see if it ends up where you as you with the $5,000 grant, have extra signage change and consider helping support the wine signage goal of the 4 South County Fire Safe Councils being able to advertise together.
And I don't think I would be opposed to that. I don't think any of us would be opposed to that if there was an event, that you had, that you, if you wanted to post it, you'd let us know and.
And so that's one of the reasons that I've been also going to the PBFA meetings and the other meetings, so that when they do have events, they have all said, if you guys want to come down and have a table, you're welcome to have that table. You're welcome to advertise anything you want. It'd be nice to be able to text,
Include all the accountable.
And have common messaging
And
across,
have that.
yeah. We also, as a council, have red flag warning signs. I think Ed has one. And John, do you have the other?
No, I don't. I was wondering where.
I don't know where our neighbor,
Yeah.
right down
Neighbor.
And one of the thoughts that the board had was if, when we put these large signs together, we had a way to attach red flag warning signs to them, so that we could make sure that our community is aware when the red flag day does occur. Mary?
Yeah, when does the West Slope, need, what's the timeline for that?
I think it's okay.
ASAP. In other words, it presented it last year, and then they closed it. And they said they could consider reopening it for you guys. And I asked them when, and they said,
Now.
yeah.
So,
Well, so I was wondering if it's something we need to act on today.
my plan was to get consensus from the group if there's any other items. John?
Got one along the lines of what Judy was mentioning, communication. This, since we're coming up with ideas, when this council was formed, we sent out one of the cards sent to every single post office box in both post offices, double-sided card paper, and it explained who and who we are and what we do. And that was sent out when we formed 5 years ago. Sure. Maybe it's time to do that again.
We've used that same process for our Greenways days. We didn't this last time, but the post office has the EDDM, it's called. And basically, yes, you pick which zip codes that you want, are postal routes. And so you're limited, you basically have to do the whole postal route. And so typically we've picked all of the PO boxes at Mount Auckham. We've done all of typically it's 95684 out of Somerset, and you pay a reduced rate. It's like 18 or 20 something cents per sheet. And anybody that has an address in that should be getting those.
So when we've done that, that's approached, by the postage, it's.
Yeah.
It's what?
Approached $2,000. Yeah.
With the printing costs and the postage.
That's long time. What?
I hear the one.
All right, so
Yeah.
Just title it communicating something.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm hearing quite a bit from the fire department and the first responders. And one of the biggest things that they're pushing for is the address signs
Yes.
that are glow in the dark and a sign that they can read. And they've been offering these green signs with numbers on them. And they're finding those are extremely valuable and just communicating where you are.
Yeah.
And they've been out someplace they can't find the homes you're looking for, because there's no address on
So we sell those.
Blue, they know that you have
it.
water.
John makes those. There's if anybody's interested, there is a sample form in the back, but, if you want to connect with John, we can have those made, and we've been very successful in getting some of those out when we have green waste days. John stays and makes them at all of our green waste days. And it has been something that we've been pushing through a lot of our outreach. So yes, I agree.
I got my sign from Amador over at the senior citizens in blue instead of green. And that's a fire department know that I have at least 750 gallons of water in a pool, pond.
So in El Dorado County, what we have is the standard for the address signs is the green reflective that John makes. But if you go to Pioneer Fire District, the Pioneer Volunteer Fire Association sells water. You can either have a blue dot that's reflective, or they actually sell a sign that and it funds their program. But the sign indicates how much storage of water you have on your property. I have one out in front of mine, but you can get that right at the Pioneer Fire District.
I was actually talking to the firemen over at Pioneer about how come they don't push these things, give it out to the public more. Because the biggest thing they need is water when they're fighting a fire. And he says, well, we know where all the water, the tanks and stuff are. I said, well, that's fine. The Caldor fire, you were gone for 2 months. There was some fire department here from Modesto. They don't even know how to find their way around. Yes. It's true. And a $20 sign, save your house because they're looking for water.
Correct. Thank you. Shyla.
It used to be that the fire department sold those signs.
They still do.
They do after they inspect the hydrants, to make certain that.
What Joy shared at one of the last meetings was, we turned it over to the fire safety councils, so they could raise some money, and the sales has dropped. John?
I think she's talking about the address.
Yeah, the address.
Yeah.
Not the water.
Yeah.
Not the waters,
Not the
they
water.
still do the water.
Yeah.
But the point is, as far as the average signs, what Joy said was, since then, the amount of signs that are being sold, it's a lot.
I don't know how she knows that.
I don't know how she knows that.
Sold by them.
She just hears that.
So, yeah, sold by
Sold
them.
by
or
them.
Oh, no, not by them. There's not, they don't see them come go. Being put up like they were seen.
Mary.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with John's sign I would like to make a motion that we request from West Slope a grant to cover the cost of John's sign proposal for and somebody else help me with the motion for both ends. Okay, so that would be one. Can we make more than one motion for different things? Or can we include other things?
I think
in
we
it?
can include other things if you want.
Well, I also would like to include purchasing the mesh so that it can be distributed at different events. Or sold, and I like the idea of sold and distributed.
Can we use the mailers? Is that money we're going?
Depends on how I don't, we'll have to find out how much the mesh costs.
Yeah, I don't know how much she bought actually offhand, but I know she spent $2,900 on it.
So I think what we can do for the West Slope grant is we can word it in such a way as to increase public outreach through the implementation of these two signs at Outingdale and at the river, and other outreach materials is other communication outreach, and include mesh, because I think that's a super good idea as well. So I think we can word it in such a way as if there's leftover money, we have to try to do the mail.
So do we
If
have
that's
that?
your motion.
So do
That's
we
my
have the
motion. That's the motion. That is my motion.
I'll second that.
I don't know if Kim got it.
Here, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sandy and Mike,
Yes.
okay. Are you in favor? Okay, Sandy's in favor, Mike's in favor, opposed? Hearing none, we will work on, I will connect with West Slope on the format of what they need to request a grant for the 2 John signs.
Maybe we shouldn't call it that.
Chris and John put them together and cost materials and
I'll
such.
check with Spot On Signs, to see their recommendation on what sort of material they would suggest. They've been very helpful to us, a lot of accounts.
And then just the logistics question, John, is obviously having to reach out to whomever owns to get permission.
Well, one is where the firewise.
Yes, so I would so we could if we could replace that one there, that would be. Ed Matwich had the contact for that landowner. So I don't know if maybe Kim, you could find out who that is from Ed.
They get you crumble.
Okay, so get it on my phone.
Yeah, Ed got the.
All right, thank you. That was some good conversation and it got through a couple of items here. Item D is the Pioneer School proposal. John came forward, would like to discuss a proposal for Pioneer School.
Yeah, you can bring up the PDF first, and then with the pictures, just scroll through them.
Hang on. You're getting.
He's
It's late and John's taxing my bills too. Hang on, we're just gonna do screen sharing. I'll get it. I just have to enable screen sharing from this other computer.
Perfect, thanks. Good, I'm just explaining. At Friday with Kelly Howard, the business officer for the Pioneer School District. In the entire district. It is extremely helpful. The school is very interested in support we can provide for some vegetation management around the school. And hopefully it's in planning. This is an old image, but you can see there's nothing great in Pioneer here. And all of this property right here is all school property. This is not sure. We walked around the parking lot here through this area along the boundary of Mountain Creek. This is the Pioneer interest area. This is a concrete wall along there. And we'll see the pictures that are taken along the way. So all the way around the field, like that. All the way back up there, of course, you're here, and then back to the parking. So that's what you'll see in the image. You'll see piles of vegetation that have been cut. Grellersburg, I think last year they said, Grellersburg did some clearing around the school, so did a very nice job. So you'll see piles, but there's plenty more to be done there.
No, I'm gonna have to go share each one individually.
Oh, really? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I'm not the expert on the share up. Oh, let me just see if I can find one or two, John, and
You can't just click one and then arrow over. Yeah, so this starts, right, there's a paved, walkway between the two schools. And there's a big bed that you start to see here. And then that concrete wall I mentioned along Mountain Creek is over to the left. And so we basically did a walk through straight along that wall. And, if anybody's interested, I can. And you can see this part area looks pretty good. In this area, they have an obstacle course that they are anxious to get rid of. They are not going to do obstacle course anymore because of liability. But there's wires and all tires and all sorts of things there that they would like to see gone. And for everybody to come in to clear, do vegetation work, you want to have that stuff out of the way. So that's one thing that could be included in some work. And what I'm getting at is we had a weekend project several years ago, led by one of the council members that helped clear an area, ravine between the two schools. And that's been maintained very nicely by the schools. So it's really a good success. So what I had in mind is to see if the council was interested in continuing doing some more of that. Problem with some of these piles, you can't see yet, but there are along half of that route that I walked. And Rallyford hasn't been back. Kelly is going to contact them to see about that. But the difficulty is Rallyford can't be there when there are kids there. And so that limits, periods of time when they can come. During the summer, some of the breaks, that's pretty much it. And so I'm waiting to hear from Kelly what might be possible with Rallyford. That might suggest to us what we might consider.
They'll work on weekends. Pardon? They'll work on weekends. I ran maintenance for a couple of years.
Right, well, I know they do, but Kelly's remarks, they weren't able to come back here. That's just what you reported, so.
It's okay. They used to come very much.
Yeah.
When called.
Right. They've got a long drive.
Yeah, but their only stipulation was something from the district general.
Right.
Heidi, you have a question?
I wondered, about a possible collaboration with the school families through the PTO and suggesting maybe a work party day. I know that when my kids were in school, we used to love getting together on weekends and working with the parents to beautify the school. It builds community, builds sense of accomplishment. They're the ones who will truly benefit. Maybe have a little barbecue afterwards so kids can play on the playground with families can.
And that's a little bit along the lines of what was done before. There were those who saying, I don't know how many parents were in the group, but a lot of people did show up and weren't all council members, right?
Yeah.
And they showed up with chainsaws and all sorts of things. We do have insurance requirements. We need to fulfill through the overhead of the Fire Safety Council. I don't have the procedures for that yet, but it's requested.
I just fill out a form.
Okay. There you go.
Form, I turn it into the, so it's a special event. We just need to be able to discuss what it is that we're doing. And how many people and.
So this is just kind of an update or a suggestion, for the council to consider. I think I want to hear from Kelly what Rallyford can do in regard to these remaining piles, because there's probably 100 of them that need burning. They had plans for a burn project out there. I don't know where that stands. So hoping to hear from Kelly on that Rallyford and sees what's next.
So are you generally just presenting this to?
Not as a proposal.
Not as a proposal yet, but just informational item.
Right.
it is something that we did a couple of years ago and it was super successful. We had a chipper in there and we cleaned out, the creek area and just have a fun day, so.
I like where it worked along that concrete wall on the north side of Mountain Creek. The south end, there's quite a bit of vegetation, tree growth there. Nothing's really been done in that area. And some of the vegetation, that might be another part of the project.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't they have a garden program that they can promote this, like Heidi said, get the children and the families involved?
They do have a garden program
Absolutely.
that, for the, third through fifth grade. They meet on Tuesdays, and, you know, it's something that certainly could be brought up to that. But this is really for the kids, the garden program at the school there is.
Now, one of our council members is involved.
And I know that that area back there is, just note to self, that area has quite a bit of poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having been the recipient from our last.
That's right.
Thank you, John. I think, the council should keep that on the radar. Perfect. Okay, I will put that down, and we're gonna come back next meeting with an update. Under new business, I'm going to take chair license to add an item late in the agenda. To remind, everybody that, we have been talking about, the county's defensible space inspection program. And that Outingdale was one of the communities that, was a county emphasis area for the 23-24 fiscal year. On March 5th in this building at 6 p.m. The community meeting with, the county is going to be held in advance of those, defensible space inspections occurring. They will begin to occur within the week or two after that, as I understand. They usually, do it fairly, soon after the community meeting. So community meeting for Outingdale will be here on March 5th. I believe they also have a Zoom option for that, and the notices to the Outingdale community went out early this week. And so the folks in Outingdale should be receiving those notices. If they don't have them now, they will have them post haste, that community meeting is happening and that the defensible space inspections from the county will be happening shortly thereafter. One of the things that they will be sharing with the community is that there are programs through the El Dorado County Fire Safety Council for them to get work done. We have we've tried to work with the community to help them in advance. We held our chipping day last November, specifically at this location to encourage folks there to bring their material. And we'll have the chipping day in the spring. They can get their material up to the other end. So, all right. Having for sign 6 p.m. on March 5th. All right, item 9, public comment. We have a 3-minute time limit. What I would also like to encourage in the public comment is if you're here and you're new to us, it would be nice to introduce yourself. If you're interested in being on the council, that would be nice to know too, and a little background that you have. And then we can also talk about the Somerset issue. So, public comment, starting in the back.
Hello, my name is Judy Doucette. Today I come with you with a proposal petition. There's 150 commercial cannabis pure agriculture put out there. There's already over 20 of them scooped up. There's 120 still available. Commercial cannabis means for every 5 acres, they can have 200 plants. The first permit I pulled in Elmo Ranch was 117 acres. The next one was on Rocky Bar Ridge, which was 200 acres. Then the next one I pulled was on Fairplay, who was a registered felon. This real green to El Dorado, criminal element for our officers, our firemen, and us, our community. It also have chemical element, and we also have a water problem. I would like to be aware,
like El Dorado County to stay El Dorado County, not Humboldt County. There were also other counties that had tried this. Napa County, Amador County, Santa Barbara, and Mendocino. Santa Barbara failed, and there were lawsuits against the cannabis and the vineyards. You can look at the article. The cannabis sued the vineyards because the vineyards gave the cannabis mold. Mendocino ended up having so many problems, they put it in a triangle because the criminal element got out of control. If we could learn from these other counties and maybe ban the other 124 commercial cannabis permits, because I really think over 20 commercial facilities is plenty for commercial cannabis. If you let all 150 of these permits come in, you will have more commercial cannabis than you have grocery stores. I do have a petition in several places, including Somerset Store, the Diner at Somerset, and there's some at Main Street Auto and True Value and other places. You'll probably see it online also. I just like to make you aware of what commercial cannabis is in El Dorado County. Please keep it El Dorado County, not Humboldt County. And thank you for your time. Keep our officers and our firemen safe, please. Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Yeah, my name is Jody Westfall and I live on Lower Grizzly Flat Road. I've been trying for a couple of years to get, to become a part of the Grizzly Flat Fire Safety Council. And they did not take us this little it's 2.5 miles of Grizzly Flat Road. And there are 158 parcels and 122 of those are developed. So my idea, since we, Grizzly Flat kind of said, well, geographically, you're not like us. So we're kind of like you. And so I'd like to maybe, I'm having a map drawn up through the county about possibly getting to become part of this fire safety council. And that would then make Sandridge, Ockham Fairplay, and Grizzly Flat like one south, we'd be all tied together. So anyway, I'd like to see if we could agendize it possibly for the next meeting, at which point I think the map will be developed and it would be maybe a consideration for the council. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We had a conversation earlier today, and we have Richard Galvin from the county is generating a map for our discussion, and so we will bring this back before the board at our next meeting to discuss the Somerset area that's not part of our council now, and whether we want to consider adding them or not. We've had the discussion. I did have the discussion today about Firewise and timeframes on when how long it would take to become Firewise community if we were to add this group of 122 parcels. But I will leave that full discussion for our next meeting. I will agendize it for more. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Peggy Kathy. I have a lot of fire experience when I was a lot younger. And I'm still involved with the Forest Service, and also in my family is the El Dorado County. My son-in-law is a fire inspector. So anyway, we do a lot of talking in my family about fire, and I've done a lot. I was in the Forest Service for 3 years. But my point is, when I with Jody work together, trying to get Somerset in a fire safety council. If you get Somerset in the fire safety council, I will run for your board.
Correct.
Right. So I definitely heard board.
Councilman.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Yes. Patrick Lynch, I'm a running for Fire Safety Council, Firewise Chair. Being familiar with the local area and, doing inspections and so on within, the Orange district. I think that after presenting to the Ag Commission, contrary to their approval of a particular permit, which they voted in favor of, it was brought to my attention through Judy that there were a plethora of these permits available. And being familiar as a contractor with grow room construction and so on, I realized the impact that these permits could have. Even a small number of them. At this point in time, the Ag Commission appears to be pretty much able to just open the doors and allow this to occur in the county without a serious review and involvement with the people of the county in terms of looking at the other counties where this may have succeeded or may have failed and present the case accordingly. But I don't believe that is the situation as it now exists. So it would behoove this council, and I would suggest that you consider a motion to approach Supervisor Turnbull and suggest, apparently you've already done that, and suggest that he get on board with putting it up for a vote with the rest of the supervisors to put this on hold until they've taken a more serious overview of the situation. Because this is the first I've heard about it, and I'm pretty much aware of going-ons in the county, and I think this needs to be seriously addressed before they allow it to be approved.
Thank you. Mary,
Can I respond or should I say?
go ahead.
As a council member, what I feel about the cannabis situation is not really that important. It's a personal thing. But, well, whether I agree or don't agree with with the cannabis permit process is my own personal thing. It doesn't have to do with the mission of the Fire Safety Council.
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, so that was just a suggestion.
Well, that's
As a whole, council, and you agree that perhaps it warrants asking Supervisor Turnbull to suggest that it be put on hold until it's reviewed at a greater extent.
So I think
that was just my suggestion.
So John brings up a good point. Ron, if you would share.
Let me just make a comment to clarify this a little bit. So, the Fire Safety Council El Dorado holds a 501c3 nonprofit.
Yeah.
We are a satellite to that organization. We are a nonprofit. We cannot legally advocate for any legislation.
Okay.
Period. It's not whether we want to or not.
No, I understand.
It violates the law. So councils cannot do that. As private citizens, you can talk to anyone you want, sign petitions, things like that. But just to advise you that the council can't, accept a motion to take a political position.
Got it.
They can't do it. Well, it's kind of. But eventually you can do what you want.
Yeah, it is.
Eventually you can do it.
They just cannot do it on behalf.
May I say what Patrick's trying to say? Their inspections are every 2 years. It was every 3 years until I brought it to your supervisors. Your fire stations get once a year inspections. These businesses get once a year. This is criminal, chemical, and they only get a 2-year inspection. So that's what
That's
he's
not
saying.
true.
It's not regulated, so he's trying to get it regulated.
So that,
before it
yeah.
explodes.
So individuals can make that
Yeah,
decision,
yeah.
we just can't.
We understand.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else in public comment? Chris?
I would just say one thing, I've been going to all the meetings and the PVFA just in terms of just trying to get, the message out that fire safety councils are here. They are doing a lot of things coming up here. They preempted with Jerry Jumper, so they're talking about the bass tournament coming up. They're talking about the crab feed next year. So, and they have it all updated. They have their own website now and Facebook page. So just something, try and maybe communicate with them just to get the message out. Because I've talked to plenty of citizens out here that don't even know that there's a FireWise certificate to get a reduced rate on their plan. So I've talked to 5 neighbors on my hill. They're like, what? They've already put in their applications. Throwing it out.
Appreciate that. Kim's has been working with them on partnering up.
Yeah.
Some of their fundraising activities.
Yeah.
Bingo night's coming too, but
That's not, they've got a lot planned.
Can I have
One more question.
yeah, next year.
Yes, sir.
I'll do that again.
Okay, guys.
Who on the council was responsible for the signage, the firewall signage? So I'm gonna have to speak with you after the meeting, because we need to do that for our district. And there's a few questions that I'm sure you can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, happy to chat with you after.
Okay.
All right, ending public comment, council comment. Anything for the good of the order?
My name's Tom Wilkie, and I was just wondering, has anybody brought up the idea of putting up a fire alert siren like on top of Mount Ogden? I personally have a big siren that I use, and if you're outside, you can hear it for a mile in all directions, and all my neighbors know if they hear the siren, get off your butt and go outside. There's a fire somewhere, and then you figure out what you need to do. And something to get people's attention, because otherwise you're not always by a
Live on
phone.
Mount Autumn, and I heard a siren. It come from. It busted.
And it really works. I've had my neighbors, thank me, and I told everybody, I said, if you give me a call, if you see a fire in the area or know there's a fire in the area, then I can put the word out. And if you hear the siren, don't bother calling me because I'm laying fire hoses out. I'm done busy or whatever. But this way, one person can tell 40 families. But if you put like an air raid siren like they use like at Rancho Seco on top of Mount Ogden, and got it out to the community, it's like they're just saying, they're not saying it's going to hit you now or hit you later, or it's just wake up, there's something's going on. Get on the radio, get on the TV, watch Flight Radar 24, watch aircraft in the area. Because nobody wants to wake up in the middle of the night, there's a fire coming over the ridge, and they didn't know about it. That's a big scare for me. I just have a little bit of time.
Thank you for that. Well, we haven't considered it. It's something that we would need to talk with our law enforcement and fire physical partners about. Thank you.
That was discussed in the council years ago. I don't recall exactly any of the issues with it. We decided at that time not to pursue. Well, but we should consider with other law enforcement. The fire, not marshal, but that. Anyway, they didn't want to do it because there was some conflict. But we were for it, so I don't know, we have to look into it again. But they just said that, because we asked, about different alarms, and they didn't want to do it that way, but maybe the new people in charge, we find out. It's really nice.
Council members, anything in addition? Sandy, Mike, anything in addition? All right. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's nice to see a more robust room in the house. Please come back and visit us again next month at our next meeting, which looks like it's going to be on March 20th. Again, right to this room. So thank you very much. Have a great evening and see you next time.